Go ahead, sir.
Flags are right in the sun. Mind if I move the flag so that it's not hitting the sun?
Not at
Sure.
all.
Thank you.
Good evening. Please stand and join me with the pledge. I call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, all, and welcome to the Tom Butterfield Early Childhood Campus this evening. Moving down, the first option we'll have for the evening is the approval of the consent agenda, which include the minutes of the August 8th meeting, which are included in hard copy in the front of the packet next month. August bills totaling $1,257,425.23, and the financial reports, which were also in your packets.
So moved. Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Jack, did you have anything on the bills this evening?
That's what I was going- it's on the financial reports.
No. All right.
Call question?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, the adoption of the agenda for the regular meeting, so as printed, with no additions.
So move.
Cool. Second?
All those in favor? of the-
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Mr. Smith will not be joining us tonight due to illness as well, just to be noted for the record. Next, moving down to public comments. Hearing none at this time, I'll move down to the superintendent report first.
Yes. Let's see if that'll work for us tonight. They won't be. Oh, okay. That's all right. Tell you what.
Oh, thank you. Didn't even know that was going to be a projection site.
With change, there's always a little bit of growing pains. This is a pretty good display of how that's been going, but I'll got a backup plan right here.
Good. Haven't seen it yet. I'm still looking for it.
Attendance report was what I had open. Okay. Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. September board report already. That's pretty hard to believe. And we jump right into the exciting stuff this month with me talking about governance plan, and I am being a little sarcastic. I know that can be dry, but you'll have to forgive me in that. I find it pretty exciting to be standing here year two talking to you about some of the changes we have. Because it's year two, there are some updates that are kind of exciting. We have some data to reflect on. And for anybody watching at home, it sounds like the slides are working now, so that's great news too. We've got a lot of software things that we're working out, some software we're waiting on to arrive, so I appreciate everybody's patience as we work through that. Before I get into the governance plan itself, Jack had asked me a question that I've been kind of waiting on our software, that new software we have, Power School, which parents know about for sure, teachers certainly know about too, and administrators and everybody else. It's been, a lot of work to get it to be a working item. And one of the things that it gave us some issues with was trying to have confirmed data on our student enrollment. I'm proud to say that we have a lot of those glitches worked out, but unfortunately you work out the glitches by going through something the first time, seeing what doesn't work, and then adjusting. So what I can tell you tonight with certainty, Jack, you had asked this question and I'd been really dying to know myself. Across the district, there is 125 new students at Marshall Public Schools, and that is counting preschool. If we take preschool out of the equation, we have 105 new students, K through 12. Why that is a little harder to discern. Our long-term projections, our Saline County birth rates, all these things have said we should be declining, but we aren't. I think post-COVID, a lot of people went to homeschool and various other things, and I'm proud to say that it seems that a lot of them are coming back to public school after seeking education somewhere else at home or surrounding districts that were maybe smaller and took different positions on COVID. But they're starting to come back, and that is great. The only problem that causes is when you order X number of books thinking you know your numbers and a lot of extra kids show up. I know Spainhauer certainly has been experiencing that, along with a few other people. But part of that is also pre-K. The way that they reworked the pre-K structure for this building being bigger is there was no students left on a waiting list. If they wanted to come to preschool at Marshall Public Schools this year, they're here. And that made those numbers a little bigger. So back on track, we'll go back one, please, sir. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but this is a snippet from our governance plan. It's part of our larger comprehensive school improvement plan. And this one relates to develop a plan for the leadership team of the school district. In September, I'm supposed to share this plan with the school board, specific to our professional development for the leadership team, which is our principals, et cetera. So some updates on that. We identified last year, now we can go to the next one, please, sir. We identified last year and have these things in motion on the left-hand side. I won't read them all, but I'll just summarize if that's okay. These are things like our bullying training, documentation, our handbook alignment, training on what our handbook says with regard to Title IX, and realigning and redoing all the handbooks. Those are some of the things that the survey said we needed to do and we spent last school year working on. Our FY24 priorities, we still know enough information from those surveys to say that we need to set more priorities and continue working. So the things on the right-hand side of your screen are what we're working to attain this year. Safety and security training and alignment, suicide risk flow chart, training and alignment, and budget internal controls. This is things like district manuals, budget alignments and protocols that are aligned district-wide. We have a lot of good practices. They're just not all consistent, kind of like the handbooks were for us last year. We had a lot of great handbooks, they just weren't all alike. And so for the consistency of all practitioners in the district, we're working now to create those internal controls with our budget, how we spend our money, and handle things related to the money. Also related to that professional development is our NE. We love acronyms in education, but this is your Network for Educator Effectiveness. It's the new evaluation system for our staff this year. We have that in play. One of the things I'm most excited about with that is that if you're going to talk about and have all these documents like your building improvement plans, we call them BIPs, your comprehensive school improvement plan, your governance plan, your CSIP, this ties all of that to superintendent evaluation a little bit. It ties it to principal evaluation, to teacher evaluation, and we take into account all those things when we are having conversations with our staff and with each other to say what goals do you have in your building and for yourself, and how is it part of the larger goals of the district. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it, so we're trying to measure it. Certainly there are imperfections with measuring tools, but I think the fact that we're being reflective is important. We went one too many, please, sir. There you go. Emergency plan operations. This is another report that comes to the Board of Education in September. It's one that we discussed last year. This gets into all the things I'm about to talk about. I won't read this to you, but that's just a glimpse of it. If we can go to the next one, please, sir. I think you skipped over one, please. No. Okay. Governing priority leadership. One more. Okay, there we go. This gets into, I'm sorry, Wesley, you've missed one, but I'm going to speak to it, and you'll just stay right there, okay? There's one more on safety and security, and that's a comprehensive analysis and recommendations for best practices in safety and security. Leslie, we go backwards for me. I think it's just hitting and being really sensitive. Back one more. Back one more. Okay, go forward 4. I know that's crazy, but I think it's on the, go back 1. Forward 2. There it is. That's going to be hard for you to see at home. You have that in a hard copy in your board packets for our board members to look at. I gave that to everyone because I just couldn't have any smaller print. But this is speaking to all the things safety and security going on in the district, and there's a lot. And this is honestly just like a 10,000-foot passover. And while I'm excited at what started, we have a long ways to go. And so I'll just hit on the highlights of that. We have in our district plans that we need an emergency preparedness plan adoption. But the problem is we need that emergency plan to be aligned. We need the ALIS training to include stakeholders like the fire department, the police department, and that means we need things like numbers on windows, and there's just so much work really at the ground level here in the district that we are lacking and working on diligently with Greg Woodring being our new safety coordinator, that I believe we're going to have it all done by this spring, but we're not quite there yet. Some things we do have done, and this goes back to district and community surveys last year with safety and security, is we got the 5th graders out of trailers. That was identified as a concern. We have a lot more secure access in place or on its way, such as the $30,000 the board allocated 2 months ago for new door hardware. That is on its way here. We have a part-time, a half-time, or we call it 0.5 full-time employee FTE SRO in addition to the 2 full-time we had previously. And we are adding new security cameras. That's tied to our budget. Money's going into it. We can't fix everything right away with security cameras, but we are budgeting and moving as quickly as we can, and that is in motion. We have more fire alarms at each location working, but not all of them, but they're getting better. And we have these door replacement plans in place, such as what you saw at the middle school last year. We have more of that in the works, and it is including some single pane glass replacement. That's partly with the levee passing. Just like these windows that are kind of burning our eyes out tonight with the sun, we are getting bids district-wide to put a secure film over the top of that makes them shatterproof. And we've already had one vendor come out to dip our toes into what the cost of that will be. We have some grant money, and of course we have ESSER dollars, a little bit of, not ESSER dollars, I'm sorry, but the safety security grant and the levy dollars to help address that. So we're getting started. But those are big items that take a little time. We have locking mechanisms in place. The very bottom 2 items are things that we haven't gotten to yet, which is why I didn't highlight them. They're what we're going to need to look to after we get past all that stuff, which is in motion. Things like motion lights around our playgrounds, adding more lights there, fencing around our sidewalks between the Career Center and the high school. These are things that we know we still need, but we haven't gotten to yet. Okay. Now, we'll probably have to go backwards because we've got just things a little scrambled here for some reason tonight with their software. So if you could back up for me, please, sir. One more. Another governance plan item to discuss for us tonight is that our MSIP 6 and our governance plan at CSIP says that we need to work on board self-evaluations. That actually comes up in October, but I'm mentioning that tonight. It'll be just a point of discussion for us as the Board of Education. And if I can get kind of a verbal nod on which way we want to go as a board, I will bring that to you all for approval next month. But our options are basically to do something entirely from scratch in-house or to utilize MSBA or EGS. We've worked with both in the past, and that's something that we need to accomplish next month. So it's something we as a board can discuss, or you can ask questions about it now if you'd like. We can go forward, please, sir. Keep going. One more. There we go. Another thing comes up in October that I'm checking off the list now as best I can is climate and culture. We're just initiating this, but last year we did a really large survey of the community, the staff, the employees, and even the students in certain grades for the climate and culture. And we are going to do that survey again. I've actually asked Mrs. Durham to come and present next month. She's compiling that, taking into account the data we had, and we're going to issue that survey one more time, and she'll be presenting on that to you next month. So if there are anything from the community, the staff, or the Board of Education that we wanted to incorporate in that survey, please let me know. Okay. Getting close here. I know I'm covering a lot, but we hit it early here in the fall and try to check it off the list with our governance plan so we can monitor it all year. Newsworthy items that I just want to mention. I was really excited to see our PTO and elementary principals all did their first carnival. If you made it out to that, it was the biggest carnival I've ever seen. It was very well attended on September the 7th at the Martin Community Center. Our buddy program began on September 8th, and our high school football team opened up the season with a win, which was really awesome and exciting for us to be there on that Friday night. It was not a cool football evening, but it was still a win, which made it really exciting. We've had some really close games, and they're having a good season. We're also starting spotlights this month. We have Miss Garrett's with us and Miss Alverson tonight. That will be our first principal spotlight, where they spotlight some great things going on in their buildings. And this Friday night, we have our homecoming parade, which we certainly want to invite everybody out to. I believe that's at 1:30, 2 o'clock. And that'll be pretty exciting. First PD day on the 25th. And the last thing that I just want to mention for any input from staff, or kind of a reminder maybe too for administration, we're starting a Superintendent's Advisory Committee, which we're going to give an acronym for a name, SAC. And we're going to have 3 meetings this year, October 30th, January 3rd, and March the 4th. Those are PD days. And I'm asking each building to appoint representative members of all groups, teachers, custodians, cooks, everyone, bus drivers, and we'll all come together, and it's a chance for them to say, hey, these are things that are working and things that are not. I think that should be it for me. Any questions for me?
Mr. Rinke.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. To start off tonight, I would like to thank all our teachers and our staff. We had a really good start to the school year. Our administration, there was a lot of work put in, getting things ready, a lot of moves this summer. So a lot of people put in a lot of work to get ready, and things are going pretty well. So I'm really happy about that. So tonight, my report. Okay, so we're going to talk about, I have some things on the agenda, and I'm going to talk about those right now. District paper bids, we have some lawnmower bids, a 60-inch and a 72-inch zero turn. Our district beverage bids for our beverage procurement programs, such as Coke, Pepsi, all our vending machines, our concession stands. I'll get into that in a little bit. A couple things on transportation. I'll do a little bit on construction and what's been happening there, and then just share some pictures of our alternative education building remodel. Okay, so first thing, district paper bids. Okay, we sent out bids. We let go 400 cases. That'll get us through the year. We received 3 bids back. Staples, they're the nationwide company, Smith Paper Company, they're down in Southern Missouri, and local green printers. So you can see the prices right there. Staples was $14,396. Smith Paper Company $15,600. Green printers was $6,900. When we get to this on the agenda item, I'm going to. Oh, sorry. I am going to. I think this time. Really, I've been looking at a lot of stuff, and I really want to start, or continue to try to support our local businesses. You spend the money in Marshall and our community, the money stays in our community and kind of keeps revolving. I know Green Printers is a little bit more on their bids, but I think that's the way we're going to recommend when we get to that vote. Okay, so we have 2 things here. We have put out bids for a 60-inch zero-turn mower, and on the next page it will be a 72-inch zero-turn mower. And I want to explain these kind of together. We are purchasing want to purchase mowers for our district. I would like to propose that we keep our mowing in-house for the next time our contract is coming up. And I think by purchasing a couple lawnmowers and shifting around the staff, in fact, or some of our staff that we already have, we don't have to hire anybody into that. I think we can cover that. And also in 2 years, we are going down to, we're combining our campuses. Okay, so we're not going to have so much to mow. We do have a couple big yards, but the time will decrease. So we received 7 bids back on both mowers. LB Sales put in 3 bids, Marshall Service Company put in a bid, Egg Power put in a bid, and Bobcat of Sedalia put in 2 bids. Wesley, can you go to the 72-inch, and then we're going to flip back and forth here real quick. So you can see the prices up there. Basically, LB Sales and Service was a Toro. They put a bid in for $10,695. For the 72-inch, that's what I'm going to recommend. Wesley, can you go back to the other one? And then for the 60-inch, Toro did put in a bid for $10,275, and Marshall Service Company with the Skag did put in $11,800. I'm going to recommend the Skag for the 60-inch, and then I'm going to recommend the Toro for the 72-inch. And here's the reasoning why I'm going to do that. There's a couple of reasons. One, by doing that and purchasing from 2 different Marshall businesses, we can support 2 different two businesses in town. And the second thing is, so for going this route, we're going to be running these mowers, and honestly, for the next couple of years, I want to see which one performs better. Because in about 3 to 4 years, we're probably going to end up purchasing another one. And so let's see which product and performs better, which holds up better. They're going to be doing a lot of mowing, and then we'll go from there. So that's why I'm proposing to buy the one Skag and buy the one Toro on the other one. Okay, Wesley. Okay, our district procurement bids. We put this out last month. Marshall School District, you can kind of click them all up there, Wesley, if you would, please. So the Marshall School District historically has been with PepsiCo. I don't know, way before my time. There is no contract with PepsiCo anymore, or couldn't find one, or it wasn't there. They still have been servicing us, but they did not submit a bid or proposal this year. So we do have 14 total vending machines throughout the district, and then of course our concession stands at the high school and at Beaker that usually we'll get coolers for and storage that they will provide. We received a bid or proposal from Weaver Midwest Distributing, LLC, and it would be a 3-year contract, and this is what I'm going to recommend we go with. Weaver Midwest Distributing has also been working with the district for, I believe, about 18 years. I think that number's in the proposal, and he does our food vending throughout the district right now. So he would just kind of expand and take care of all of our soda vending machines. And then it would be a flat pricing structure for our concession stands.
So we have not been receiving anything from Pepsi for...
They're still restocking machines, Harry.
That's about it.
Yes. Right now for our concession stands, basically people are going to Walmart or they're going to Sam's Club and getting that. So this would kind of cut down on a lot of that.
When would this take effect, David?
It would be a month or 2. I would work. So tonight what I propose, Jack, is that you guys approve to go with Weaver Midwest Distributing, and then I'm going to work on getting a contract put together, and I'll bring that contract back to the board next month to sign. But once he knows that he's going to get that contract, he's going to work on, he's got to change out all the vending machines, so he's got to get 14 vending machines. We got to get Pepsi to get their vending machines out, and then he's going to work on getting coolers for our concession stands. So we would actually start that probably tomorrow, but the contract wouldn't come back till next month.
We don't have an ongoing contract with Pepsi right now?
No. They cannot produce one, and I cannot find one. So.
I think the people that work the concession stands will be grateful for a new cooler.
Yes, yeah, it needs some, we need to do some updating in there, and this will hopefully help that, so. And it would be, it wouldn't be Pepsi, it would be Coke products right now, so. When we get to that, that's the direction that I'll recommend the board take on that.
I think you also skipped over the 10% return that
Oh, yes,
Weaver
sorry.
Midwest has been giving us and continued, or offered to continue in his next contract. So 10% of all profit or proceeds he plans to donate back into the district as well.
Correct,
Which
yes.
is not
Thank
something
you.
we've had with our commercial, or, Pepsi, or our larger people who've been servicing us in the district as well. Just something else to note from also going with the local gentleman.
Correct.
Go ahead,
Yep.
sir.
Thank you. Okay, Wesley. Okay, transportation, I wanted to really thank our transportation staff and our bus drivers for the start of the year. Over the summer, we pretty much changed all the routes, so hopefully we did make them more efficient, that is for sure. Buses aren't going in circles anymore, so I want to thank them for that. And then our staggered start times that we put in, they are going well. We actually have gotten some positive feedback on that, so I'm glad to hear that. Okay, little report. What's been happening with the new building and the new construction? Just want everybody to know Insight Design has been working on finalizing the schematic design, and the schematic design is basically what the building is going to look like, the colors that are going in the building. It's really not the nuts and bolts and the mechanical and the engineering, but how the layout is and how it's all looking. So they've done an amazing job, and they have been really working with our staff, getting input, which has been great. So that is getting almost finalized, and then the next steps, we've been working with Nabholz, who we went for our construction manager at risk, the board approved. Tonight on the agenda, you will approve the contract with them. So been working with Nabholz to get that contract right, and our lawyers have been. And they have kind of started, they go into the next phase of where you start getting in the nuts and bolts and the subcontractors, and they have started looking at that. And after tonight, once they get a contract, they'll really dive into that. So, been looking at some overall layouts of the building. Insight has had meetings with our food service, had some, looking at the space of the kitchen and how the kitchen's all going to be laid out. That's been going well. There's a lot of detail that goes into that. How our office spaces will be, our athletic space, and then the classroom layout. So there's been a lot of things going on and discussions, and so that's all going in that schematic design. We also have been talking about how this building's going to work with Spainhauer. It could be right next door, and I think there'll be, in the next month or so, there'll be several conversations with the faculty over there and staff of, can this space help the Spainhauer kids and vice versa, and how we can work together in those buildings just to make everything better. We also, one of the big issues is what we have been looking at is the traffic flow. I think everybody and anybody that drops off a student at Spainhauer knows that sometimes the traffic flow is a little slow over there. So we have been, and we're not finalized yet, but several discussions. They actually have some engineers with Insight Design, and that's what they specialize in, traffic flow, just the things like that. So really working on hard to make sure when we double the amount of students over there that we have a good plan for that. So, and then the next envisioning session with our staff and the Board of Education will be September 25th. So things are going well there. Then I just wanted to give a little update. The alternative school remodel, we did pretty much get everything done, so there's some pictures in there. That's going really well. The spaces turned out nice, and things are well there. So, does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Upstairs, there's just one big room. It still has all that equipment. The basement's all tile. Yeah, I've got people in most of them.
Yes, ma'am. Please approach.
Cam, just make sure there's an on switch on that.
Is it on now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, thank you guys for having us this evening. We just kind of wanted to come and highlight some of the things that we've been doing at Spain-Hauer for back to school. As both Mr. Pettit and Mr. Rinke said, it's been a busy start, but a fun start, an exciting start, and we've really enjoyed having the kids back in the building. So we just wanted to share some of the things that have been going on in our building. So we started with our staff, and this has kind of become an annual tradition for Spain-Hauer. So we've officially been open, this is our 4th year, I think. So we've taken a picture each year, and we have a theme every year. So we just like to do that and then put it on our social media pages, just welcoming our families back, letting them know how excited we are to see the kids.
Sorry. And this year our theme is Swimming for Success at SPS. So our Sunshine Committee came in this summer and worked very hard to decorate our bulletin boards and our cafeteria to make it fun and exciting, and lots of things that we do have the ocean theme involved with it. So that's exciting for the kids.
Okay, so we wanted to highlight a few things from Open House. This was an opportunity that all of our parents had to come in to meet their teachers, to take some photos, to drop off their school supplies, for parents to see what their child's classroom looked like. They could walk around, check out their specials areas, what the new library looks like upstairs. We have a new librarian, so she's kind of redone some things there. Lots of exciting things. The teachers do a fantastic job really making it very welcoming for students, because for a lot of our kids, this is the first time they've had any type of a school experience or exposure. So we want to make our parents and students feel very good about where they're sending their child every day.
So we had our first day of school. We had our welcome back to school where they could stop and take pictures if they wanted. We had chalk and we had bubbles going at our entrance where the car riders were, and also at the back where the bus riders came in. So all the kids got all the fun, and we had some music playing. That's a picture of our gym where they're getting ready to do our morning meeting on the first day of school. So that's a packed place with all of our K through 2nd grade students in there. And then just another picture of some of the kiddos working on their first day of school. So it was fun to see all their smiling faces, and we didn't have very many tears this year, so that's always a plus.
Okay, so one of the first things, kindergarten kind of starts this initiative every year, but kindergartners, one of their goals is to learn their colors and master that. We want to do that early because that is also part of how we dismiss kids, is knowing what color they go to. So it's a very important skill for them to know. So each day, we open this up to all of our staff and students, and we walked through the different colors. So brown day, black day, blue, purple. In classes, they were encouraged to wear those colors, and then they did different activities, painting, naming fruits and vegetables, reading books that were associated with that. So it was a lot of fun to share all of that with everyone.
And then we have had, started last year, I think, with on our Fridays, some of the high schoolers from the different sports teams and different groups that at the high school they come and they greet our students in the mornings. We have some in the front for the car riders, and again at the back for the bus riders. So that's a fun thing for the kids to do and see the older kids, and kind of something for them to look forward to when they get older.
Okay, so we have character education assemblies every month. They're on the first Friday. Mrs. Ming, our counselor, does a fantastic job leading these. We recognize usually a staff member, and the other staff members in the building help elect and decide who they think deserves an honor. So for our first assembly, it went to our custodians. They put a lot of work in over the summer, making sure that these transitions happened, moving furniture, getting floors ready, making sure the building is clean. They do a great job, so we wanted to highlight them. And then we have a character word every month. So for September, our word was cooperation. So usually we have the students, a class would take on the responsibility of sharing that character word with the rest of them, and they do a little song or a demonstration. So since we had just started school, our teachers took that on, and they did a little activity that involved cooperation for the kids, and then we all practiced the wave, which was led by our PE teacher, and that with almost 500 kids in one place was quite exciting. Several of them had never done the wave before.
Also at our assemblies, we announce our Fantastic Friends, which is another thing that we do every Friday, but they get to run through the tunnel, all the kids that have been the Fantastic Friends for the month get to run through our tunnel at our assembly. So these are just some of our kids from each grade level that received, that were our first Fantastic Friends for this school year. So those are just kids that have displayed good behaviors, been good friends, just been safe and kind, and all of our character words that Mrs. Ming teaches them about, and they had displayed that throughout the first week or so of school. So those were our first ones.
Lunch on the Lawn, we started this last year. It's just an opportunity for families to come. It can be friends of students as well, but we just open it up, and it's a nice day for a picnic, so they can get a school sack lunch, or they can bring their own lunch, and families are encouraged to come, bring a blanket, sit on the lawn, and just enjoy some lunchtime with their kiddos. It's been a really big hit. It's honestly probably one of my favorite events that we do, and it's been very well received by our family. And the students, they know not everyone's family can come, so we have picnics with just friends, and that seems to be a fun thing too, because that's not an opportunity they get every day.
We have also started our OWL time, so the students, there's small groups within the classrooms. Sometimes we go out into the hallway or into the cafeteria, into our safe rooms, so the groups can be small and they can work with that small group instruction. And this is something we've also been doing for a few years, and so that we're starting to see that as the kids move up to the grade levels, we're seeing that effect as they're moving up in the grade levels.
The PTO Carnival, I won't spend a lot of time on this. I know Mr. Pettit kind of highlighted these were just some photos, some different baskets that were put together, or artwork that went on a silent auction, but they put a lot of hard work into it, and it was definitely an event that was enjoyed by all those who came.
And we had Substitute Appreciation Day for the whole district, was it last Friday? And so we had 3 lovely substitutes in our building, and so we brought them Sonic drinks to help celebrate that as well.
And then last, we just kind of wanted to highlight some things that are coming ahead. Kind of takes us through the first quarter, but we have first grade is going to participate with our high school band in the homecoming march, so they're actually going to walk the halls of the high school, and then they're going to go to the square and just parade for parents or community members that want to come. Each classroom has a theme, and so that's always fun for them. We're praying it doesn't rain this year. Last year we kind of toughed out the weather, but hopefully, our fingers crossed, it'll be nice on Friday. iReady assessments have begun. The KOF is our kindergarten observation form assessments. That was new within this last year from DESE, so that kicks off for kindergarten next week. We have hearing and vision screenings, Career Week, and Community Helper Day for our first and second graders tied to their curriculum, partnering with a lot of businesses around town to come in and really show our students what it looks like to be a community member and different avenues that they can take. Kindergarten has their first field trip planned to Peachtree Farms Pumpkin Patch. We have Picture Day coming up on October the 5th. And then our second graders, this is new to me, but I think something that they have done in years past, but they're going to partner with our FFA, and they are going to go to Blind Pony on a fishing trip. And so it's split just into 2-hour groups, but they're excited about that. And then our first grade is going to make a trip to the fire station in October to go over some fire safety things, and then we will wrap up first quarter with parent-teacher conferences. So, any questions for us? Yes?
Kim, when do you have the people come in and read to them? What's that day going to be?
I don't have that yet, but after first quarter gets going, we will have those things again. I know we really enjoyed having you come. We had a few people from around the building and community, parents of kids, so we will open that up again. I'm just not quite there yet, but I'll get there, and I won't forget you, Mr. Lentz.
Well, let me know when it is and write me down. I'll be there.
Okay, perfect. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Oldie. Great. Thank you. And as Mr. Pettit said, the homecoming parade is at 2 o'clock this Friday, so encourage you all to come out and support the high school and the rest of the district as well as we celebrate homecoming here in Marshall. So. Moving down to new business. The first item is to approve the purchase of the railroad easement at Eastwood. We've been talking about this land purchase just for a little bit of history, possibly for the town that may not be aware. The space or the kind of alleyway that used to be the railroad track behind Eastwood School, we have leased for a number of years from the railroad company. There's an opportunity for us to purchase that this year instead of going back into a lease situation. The money we spent leasing and the money that they want to purchase for, which I believe is at $20,000 now, plus some other closing and titling fees that will bring that up to around $24,000 to $25,000, I believe, for a total figure. The leasing amount has been somewhere, I believe, around $7,000 or so annually, maybe a little more. We've done that for a number of years. So this will just let us take ownership of that piece of property that we're using behind Eastwood with that alleyway, which is the kind of car ride or drop-off line area.
Yeah, I think the one thing I was going to say to that, Mr. Jakes, if I may, is that lease that we have with them, it's a pretty ironclad contract with Union Pacific Railroad, and so we know that contract goes back at least 10 years, so we've spent tens of thousands of dollars on the lease, and knowing that at some point in time in our future we're going to separate from that building, they're actually going to require us to pay more to return it to its original condition than what it would cost to purchase it and add 3 acres to the property before we liquidate it. So it's kind of a cost neutral decision, and so that's why I brought it to you guys today.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just going to make the motion for it to open up discussion because I prefer it that way. So moved.
It has been moved and there's been some
I'll second.
explanation. It's been seconded. Is there further discussion or points of clarification from the rest of the board?
I mean, it all seemed pretty straightforward in terms of the language, so.
It has been read over, of course, and vetted through legal as well. So, and as Mr. Pettit said, the contract reads
Can we
that we
give a
would
little more
return.
volume?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Or
back
can
down
you?
here.
Is this a little better for you now? I feel like
There you go.
I'm speaking from the
Am
heavens
I the
now.
quiet
so.
one? I'm always quiet.
I don't know where the sound comes out of, but it doesn't come to this end.
Yeah, we're kind of old down here anyways.
Yeah.
So as we are working out the kinks in the system, it sounds like we're having kinks here. So if you at home aren't hearing this as well,
Thank you.
it is universal to us all. So
can hear you
I will
now.
speak a little bit louder as
No,
well.
I got you now.
All right.
I'm just
So
here with Aaron.
it is properly moved and seconded about the purchase of the Eastwood property. That amount would be $20,000 plus the closing and tiling fees as are necessary to exchange property. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, we're looking for approval of the resolution for the purchase of the railroad easement. All this does is allow me to sign for the piece of property on behalf of the district as a single signer.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, we are looking at the approval of the lawnmower purchases. As Mr. Rinke has explained to us, the kind of bare bones, as he said, was that looking at kind of 2 machines, being able to see how those machines perform for us and be able to work for us in the district. It will also be a tremendous cost savings for us. Overall, we're going to be using district personnel to cut this grass, positions that we might even be able to create a little bit of a part-time position or something for someone else over the summer, but all those numbers still are going to come in dramatically lower than what we're currently spending on a contract with an outside company. And as we go into smaller campuses or reducing the amount of campuses in the future, we're going to have a lot less grass to cut hopefully in a couple of years. So this is only a cost-effective measure for us and a way to kind of share the dollars that we do spend within the district with a couple of different businesses and be able to demo that equipment under the recommendations that he had. Of course, the board is able to recommend who they would choose to go with, and so we're open for those recommendations now or those motions.
I see the logic of what the assistant superintendent is recommending, and because I like to have a motion prior to discussion, which is not how it has to be, but I like to do it that way. I will move, and it can die for lack of a second, don't forget. But I'll move for the purchase of the SCAG from Marshall Service Company for the 60-inch mower and the Toro from LB Sales and Service for the 72-inch mower.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
It's been moved and seconded. The price of those 2 mowers, if you were able not to see those from home, the 60-inch would be $11,800 and the 72-inch would be $10,695. As we've all said, there is a smaller, or a little bit less bid on one of the other mowers, but looking at kind of the quality of the equipment that we want to have in the future, we're going to try to sample both, it seems, possibly by the motion that we've had, so.
And I very much like the logic of keeping our business local, but not just with one service provider as well.
I agree. I think that's a good idea, David.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the purchases? Yes, sir.
You didn't ask for further discussion.
Yeah, he's there.
Oh,
Would you have further discussion, Jack?
Yes.
I did, Jack, sorry, I don't think you heard me. And I got the sun right behind you, so I can't look at you.
And I'm going to vote yes. But what I want to say is, we have to be real careful here, because we're starting down a slippery slope, or we can be, by not taking lowest bids on something like this. That's $1,525, which is a piddling little amount compared to all our budget and everything like that. But I just think it's something that we have to be careful of. David and I discussed this for an hour and beat each other up over on which way we were going to go. But I think we have to be careful in this of not taking the lowest bids in some instances. So that's all I wanted to say. So.
Jack, I've been thinking about it too, and because I've been generally pretty committed to taking the lowest bid. And I don't know if I'm just getting old or what. As a business owner in town, maybe that's what's changed my mind. But I very much see your logic. And sorry, I've got my hand up like this, but the sun is bouncing off the window back
just
there.
finally
So
left me, so
I'm so sorry. But I was thinking about it in terms of, and this is a larger discussion for another day, but I've been thinking about, I wonder if there's some sort of policy or procedure or something like that that we could adopt or talk to legal about adopting that sets a sort of threshold, right? That says, okay, so the board will prefer local up to a certain % difference, right? So that we don't find ourselves either favoring one business or spending beyond our budget. And that was another thing I thought of too, right? Like, so within certain %, but also with proof that the budget could handle it,
Yeah.
right?
We have a fiduciary responsibility.
Absolutely.
To handle this tax money.
And insofar as the tax money then would stay in the community, perhaps there's a give and take in, yes, spending the least amount, or if not, at least keeping that local. And so, yeah, I've been thinking about it on a policy level. Like, is there something we can do to codify not overspending? But it's also part of why you got a lengthy email about, I think, from the superintendent, because I had raised this concern with the assistant superintendent too. Like, can the budget handle it and such? So at least we've got people who seem to be sensitive to that, right? No, hasn't always been that way. So that and the fact that this difference is relatively small, and the difference is, it's not like our assistant superintendent asked us to buy the $12,000 mower, that was the second up price. We're being asked to buy the $11,000, that was the second up price. So keeping it local for the margin on it was worth it to me, and I, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, sure. But I think your words are well received and necessary, in fact, so thank you.
Call the question.
All those in favor, please say aye. For the
Aye.
opposed or abstaining. Next, we're going down to the approval of Nabholz construction contract as our construction manager at risk. We have accepted them. This is just the legalese, for lack of a better term, of the contracts as they've gone back and forth between the two companies, and our legal team is satisfied with the contract as it presented on representing the district's best behalf. And then, of course, the construction company has met that on their side. So, Mr. Rinke, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, all the amendments that you see in your board packet, that was basically from our legal, or the appendixes. And they worked very hard, and went through that with a fine-tooth comb, so I'm very comfortable with it.
And I'm going to ask for a motion so that we can start the discussion again, Aaron. I'll try to do it that way. We'll see how it works.
It really doesn't matter. I will move for the approval of the Nabholz construction contract.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there going to be further discussion or clarification?
Call a question.
All those in favor of approval of the Nabholz construction contract as presented in your board packets, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, we need to, I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the language therapy service agreement, and then I will talk about that.
I'll move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
Yeah.
When I read through that contract, do those people ever come to the school? It appeared in the contract that it was all done on that thing. Is that right?
You'll forgive me, I didn't ask Ms. Durham to come tonight. I just asked for kind of a synopsis of this company's contract, and I did not ask that question, so I would be guessing. I do not know. I know that we have had trouble. In fact, this isn't the same company she used last year, she said, because it's just getting very difficult even when you're subcontracting speech language services to get them to come in person. So I would say it's very likely that that is correct, because we can't get people to come in person. We also struggle, all public school entities, to hire them because their pay scales, even when they're on their own pay scale, they receive such a high rate, most schools can't afford them. In our case, we've advertised and tried to really get them, and we can't attract them. So very likely, but I'll have to find out for sure. I'm sorry, I don't know.
It just appears to me that if you're doing therapy of some kind, and to do it all over the internet or all that other stuff that I don't understand half of, it'd be so much more effective to do it in person.
It'd be a lot more
As far as
expensive.
therapy is concerned, and
It's been my observation, and I do not disagree with that, human interaction, but this telehealth movement has gotten pretty large as the shortages in the healthcare industry. So that's why I say, though I'm not certain, I would almost be certain that that's probably correct. And though I agree it'd be better if they were in person. It's getting just very hard to get them in person.
okay, thank you.
Jack, to my recollection, the average speech pathology salary is like north of $180,000 a year. So it's like nurses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hiring a nurse professor or a nurse teacher, competing with what they can make in the industry is so tough. And I remember Grace talking about this last year, now that we mention it, that she thought this was where we were going to end up, because it is so difficult. So if you're looking for a new career path, that's the thing to do, Jack.
Call a question.
It's been moved and seconded. There's been additional discussion. Is there any more? All those in favor of approval of the language speech therapy agreement as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? Next, we're going to speak to the approval of the district beverage supplier. I'll entertain a motion before further discussion.
So moved.
I second.
To approve Weaver, right?
Yeah.
They're the only ones that gave it.
Weaver Midwest.
So we received one bid that was from Weaver Midwest LLC. He has been doing some of our district machines in the high school, and of course our food contracts, as Mr. Rinke said. He's the only person that I'm aware of has ever given anything back to the district as well, and is going to continue with that 10% profit sharing with us as a district, which is generous as well. Every other company that's come in the district has taken all their profits and left. Not only is he going to be paying taxes in our community, but he's also giving back directly to the district. So
I
we
do have a
appreciate those
question.
efforts. Yes,
David,
sir.
how did you become aware of the fact that no contract and no money was flowing around here?
We started just talking about,
If it's a trade secret, you don't have to share it, but I'm glad you found this.
I think our service was struggling.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't have, a lot of communication. The vending machines were getting pretty empty and not getting filled up. So we started talking about it and started talking about putting it back out for bids. And that's when I started searching for a contract, and we checked with who's filling up our vending machines, and they couldn't produce a contract, and I can't find a contract. So pretty much assumed we're not under contract.
So we have no record then of anything even coming in here, so.
Right. I think
Thank
they
you.
have in the past, and I will say, I think they have given some back to the school in the past, but I don't know what that amount is, you know, and I don't think anything was ever agreed on to what that amount was.
Thank you,
I
V,
don't-
for being on top of this. Call the question.
I know also, just additionally, that this came up last year in the spring as well, kind of with the machines not being filled, the vendor not being responsive as
Yeah.
well at that time, especially in the high school. And that was an issue for us as well. So I believe probably that's when he started looking at contracts and trying to make sure going into next year exactly where he would be sitting on those, and probably had to do a little bit of research and homework and search the files that do not exist, it sounds like. So, but thank you. So we've had discussion as well. Is there any further discussion before asking for the motions?
You
Or the
mean-
vote, I'm sorry. Yes, we have.
vote on the paper bid, or the beverage supplier?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's vote on that.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I got to abstain. I've known Donna and Toby for years, and she works at the bank, and I work at the bank, so I've never had any interaction with her, but I don't want it to appear that there might be anything at all, so I'll abstain from that vote.
Okay. In a small town, sometimes we're not always related, sometimes we know each other very well, so sometimes, just for clarity's sake, as you're saying, Jack, sometimes it's good to recuse ourselves in those times, so.
We'll err on the side of caution.
Yes. Next, looking at the approval of the paper bid for the district, Mr. Rinke said that he was recommending Staples as our lowest bid at $35.99.
No, green printers.
Oh, I'm sorry, Green Printers, I'm sorry, at $42.25 a case, $16,900, which is not our lowest bid.
They
And
are.
we will go from there and see if there's a motion for that and have further discussion.
Yeah, I'll move for green.
I'll second. I like keeping it local.
It's been moved and seconded, and now we'll start further discussion.
I can't ever think of a time that I've needed something from Green Printers and I haven't gotten it either that day or the next day.
They usually do really good work, and they're
Yep.
really
They
good.
really did for the
They're strong
school.
supporters of the community.
Yeah,
But we're, like you talked earlier, it was at $2,500.
yeah.
Yeah, I just have the same concerns. And one other thing popped into my mind about, it'll get out what we did. I
Yeah.
mean, it's public information that we didn't take the lowest bid, which is fine. But will that preclude Staples from ever bidding again? They say, well, we had the low bid, but we didn't get it anyway. Does it shut people out like that? I don't know how they think, but.
I imagine Staples will bid. I mean, they're
Regardless.
big enough that they'll bid every time we ask, yes.
Okay, well, that just
Now,
popped into
I don't know
my
what the
mind.
future holds, Jack, but
That's a good question. But it may be worth looking to see if we can have some sort of threshold setting, so that businesses know we're not just trying to be unfair. We're trying to be local, but we're not trying to be unfair.
But again, Aaron, your idea was good about, and I don't know if the attorneys can do it or not, about doing something like that that makes it more transparent to the public as far as what we can do as far as accepting bids when it's not the lowest or a percentage, you can go over 5% or whatever, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I like
Something that sets-
I like that idea.
Set some guardrails.
The attorneys will charge us $10,000 to rig up something, but
There's been further discussion on it, and we are looking for any more before I close for a vote. All those in favor for the Green Printers bid at $42.25, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. I'm going to vote opposed on this.
Okay.
And abstaining? Still carries 4-1. Going down, we have no further business before us. Going to look for a motion to move to closed session pursuant to lease purchase or sale of real estate, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees, preparation for negotiations with employee groups, confidential or privileged communications with the auditor.
So moved?
second.
Harry?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye. Oh,
Jack?
I said,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
I
hear
have to vote 3 times, is that what you want?
you. Maybe it's my hearing this time. Amy?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.